Yeah. What's up, everyone? It's the Brainless One, and we are in episode 296 of the F and Marks podcast. We got quite a bit to get into today. I'm just waiting for Cousin Jay to pop in at any moment. We got some really sad news to report on, and I kind of wanted to get a little bit more into that. So, uh, yeah. And then we got some other news in regards to like Vince McMahon um, returning Cody Rhodes at the Royal Rumble. Um, we got an update on The Rock at WrestleMania, and um, we have the 30th anniversary of Raw next week. So yeah, we got quite a bit to get into. So hopefully Jay pops in any minute now. What's up, Mike? Yeah. So they I guess the big thing that's going on right now, we could talk about until Jay pops in, is The Rock is possibly out of the Royal Rumble and possibly WrestleMania. He came out and did an interview and said that at the time period it is now, he doesn't know if he's going to have a chance to make it in time. He said he's not going to be in shape. What's up, Chris Brown? Which is crazy to think that somebody like The Rock's not going to be in shape in time for WrestleMania, considering the fact that he does all the workouts and all the cardio that he does. In just with outside of his life, you see what he does in social media and all that stuff. Yeah, the XFL could have a lot to do with it. I mean, hell, the potential sale could have a lot to do with it. Vince McMahon returning could have a lot to do with it. I have a crazy tinfoil hat theory myself in regards to it. It's uh yeah, that is a very depressing way to end this week and everything. Um, but yeah, I mean, I have a crazy thing. I have a crazy thought in regards to like what's going to happen with the Rocket, in regards to him not being able to wrestle at WrestleMania this year. Um, so, and yeah, I honestly, I really wanted to get into this whole Jay Briscoe thing because honestly, I have a whole lot of different like feelings about this, and so give me a sec. Sorry about that. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty there. I apologize. Yeah, it's very sad what happened with with Jay Briscoe. It's just it's. I mean, I don't even know, my heart dropped right into my gut after it happened and everything, and I'm just I'm really just sad about the whole situation. In case people didn't know, I believe it was hold on. It was Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe it was, where it was reported that Jay Briscoe had gotten into an accident on during the evening, like around 5 or so. And there was an accident. They had said that two people had perished, and unfortunately, one of those people was Jay Briscoe. It's just unfortunate that it happened the way it did, and it's just uh, it's a tough thing. I Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Jay?
Well, a whole lot went on this week, and you know, what you're talking about is definitely top of mind. And damn,
It's one of those things that when it hits you and you don't expect it, you don't know how to act. And we got it in a text message. We got it in a group chat.
yeah.
You know, F and Mark's Hall of Famer El Jefe actually was the one that posted it. That the Tony Khan was the one that was one of the first people to report it of what had happened. And um,
Quite honestly, like hearing more details just makes it for me like even more heartbreaking.
yeah,
You,
the fact,
he's in the car with his children. He's driving on the road, and the person on the other side of the road veers into him and hits his car head on, you know, killing her and killing Jay Briscoe. You know, it said Jay Briscoe wasn't wearing a seatbelt, but the woman who died
Was
was
wearing
wearing a
hers.
seatbelt. And it sounds like, you know, both of Jay Briscoe's kids are going to be okay, but are going to have some serious injuries, and then on top of the fact that they lost their dad. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean,
I,
it's just tragic.
and from what I was reading before the show, they're just it's touch and go in regards to the old. It's not like with death or anything, but like I guess she like day in and day out, it's like she gets the feeling in her lower extremities, and
Yeah.
there's days she can't feel it, and it's like you got. I'm praying for the kid. You know, it's terrible. I can only imagine what this family is going through because it's just terrible. My like I said, my heart dropped right into my gut. I didn't know what to say. It was just one of those things like
I mean, think about that. So his children's names are Jay Lee and Gannon, and Gannon's the one still in the hospital. But you know, you think about somebody like I think he's younger than both of us, and he's not here anymore, and
he's barely
he left a left behind a family.
he's barely that's I think that's what really hurt me the most is the fact that he's 38 and I'm knocking on 40's door. And that and just the fact that there's no details as to like what happened, like what caused her to just veer over into that side and everything. And you know, Evan Mart's
Sometimes
Hall of
it
Fame.
takes time. Sometimes
Yeah,
it takes time. Sometimes, you know, did that person have some sort of incident? You know, like
yeah.
when Macho Man died, he had a heart attack, and the car like went off the road. You know, did she have some sort of complication like that? I mean, and I think they said that she was like 27 years old, so I would think probably not, but you just never know. I'd like to think that, you know, there are some people out there who are suicidal and will run their car into things. Although usually with that, they would run their car into a tree, not into another car. And,
The
and you know, the last thing kind of leaves you at like, was she intoxicated? Or did she fall asleep behind the wheel? Or both?
well, the thing that because when I was talking to Nicole about it, Nicole said she either suffered from a medical emergency that could have led to that, or she was distracted possibly by looking on her phone or something. That's the two most.
Yeah.
It makes the most sense, and it doesn't even matter. Like you know, we saw the kid in Buffalo not too long ago go into cardiac arrest, and he was only
Yeah.
22, 23 years old.
24 years old, Damar
And
Hamlin.
and if you know that it can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's just uh, what really got me, and it got me in trouble yesterday because I ended up like El Diablo Blanco yesterday, and ended up in Twitter jail for 12 hours because there's people out there and they're using this like you know people who are like there was one person who posted that it shouldn't be rest in peace or rest in power to him because of all the you know because of what he tweeted out on Twitter and all this shit. And people are saying, you know, the only people who are feeling bad for him is because he's on the independency. You wouldn't feel this bad for him if he worked for the major companies. And I'm saying, like, really, this is not a time or a place for this. Because like even Eric Bischoff was going after people, and somebody's like, "Hey, Eric, you know, probably not the time or place for this shit." And Eric Bischoff, you know, backed off and said, you know, "You're right, and I apologize for this." You know, there's a time and a place for this. There's no need for you to go out like, is it really necessary to go out there and just absolutely trash a man's name when he's dead, especially after all of the outpouring of like positive things that we've heard about him, the videos with his daughter dancing there, like hell, that dude's one hell of a father that his children lost,
Yeah.
and these people are going out there and they're like making it part of their agenda. And then one of them had the audacity to call me a hypocrite. And that's when I ended up in jail.
Hmm. You know, no human being is perfect, and I'm sure if anybody saw me or you on our worst day, it wouldn't look too good.
No.
You know, people would be like, "What the f is up with those people?" And I'm not ever going to speak with them. It's like,
Right.
and it sounds like from most of the people that worked with Jay Briscoe, that's not what he was like. That's not what he was about.
Yeah. And they even said, like, a lot of people came out and said, in his, came to his defense and said he came out and he apologized to everybody, went to the entire roster and said, "I'm sorry for my comments." He even came out and clarified and said that's not how I personally feel. He goes, "This is the character I'm trying to portray." I know that could be a cop out. I mean, I'm not going to try to make, sense of apples and oranges or whatever, but I mean, the fact that AEW couldn't even do a memorial show for him because Warner Brothers had a hard time because of his tweets when they allow people like Mike Tyson to be on Dynamite. I mean, hell, Dana White just beat his fucking wife not too long ago. Refuses to take, accountability for what he did or feel any kind of remorse. And oh, by the way, now he has a show on TBS where the people are literally slapping the shit out of each other to try to knock each other out. To a point where Chris Nowinski, one of the smartest human beings on the planet, one of the guys who has done incredible things for the brain he's a neuroscientist, is coming out and said, "This is not good because this is how people have injuries." You actually see a dude suffering from a concussion after getting slapped, and another dude's face is blowing up like this. And it's ran by Dana White, and it's on TBS. But we're not going to have a memorial show for Jay Briscoe because he put some tweets out there? So now you're going to stand on your moral ground? Even though a guy who is a former AEW world champion, there's videos of him sticking his fingers up dudes' buttholes in wrestling? Not a good role model, if you ask me. Y'all can't just pick and choose how you want to pick your battles, especially if you're a broadcasting company. And I'll tell you right now, I've lost all respect for Warner Brothers for this shit. I have no respect for them. You want to go out there and you want to celebrate people like Mike Tyson, that's fine. He's the baddest man on the planet. He's done what he did in the ring. Still, at the end of the day, he had a lot of accusations against him. I'd be
Well, I mean, he did go to jail.
Yeah.
Felony rape.
And I'm sure if you go throughout that entire locker room, I highly doubt you're going to find people who live in glass houses. You're going to find a bunch of people who live in glass houses, okay? It's not good. I have a very big problem with that. And I did. I was very upset about it, but I've calmed myself down significantly since I was really pissed about it. It was mainly yesterday, but I've said,
AEW as a company is in, just a weird position where I'm sure Tony Khan would have liked to do something on Dynamite. And, I think their rights deal is up next year maybe. And, they're hoping to sign another deal, I'm sure. And money should not be the end-all, be-all. And them not doing a tribute for Jay Briscoe, it's crappy. It's crappy that, they use things like that to shut anybody and everybody down. So, yeah,
it's just
exactly.
It's unfortunate.
Beyond that, Mike, I did see the thing on Kevin Nash's show and how they sent police over to his house for a wellness check. And, Nash actually has come out to say, hey, man, sarcasm is my way of coping right now. And more or less, don't take my last piece of coping away. I don't think he said this, but I'm pretty sure he understands that what he said was poorly worded when he talks about having a gun in his mouth and, you know, and thinking about pulling the trigger. It's like, dude, I don't know if that's something you should be sarcastic about when you're literally talking about your son that passed away and how sad you are about it. It's like it didn't sound sarcastic, but
yeah,
that's what he's saying. And he said, "Oh, by the way, I'm about to work out my legs now." You know, more or less saying like, "Hey, if I had nothing to live for, like, why would I be putting work into my arms, work in my legs, work into my body?" And I can just only microcosm fathom of what the dude's going through. He lost his best friend. He lost his son, you know, in the same year. And him talking about how, you know, there used to be 3 people in my house. Now there are only 2 people in the house, and that third person will never be there. That's heavy shit.
yeah.
But yeah, kind of talking about like, yeah, I got a gun in my mouth, and wow.
It's
But you know,
unbelievable.
certainly, I mean, you know me. I'm a man of faith, and I've had many prayers going out to Kevin Nash and his family, and prayers going out for, you know, Jay Briscoe's family. It's freaking tragic, and
And I hate to go back to the whole Jay Briscoe thing, but the fact that he died the day before his brother's birthday doesn't make it any better either.
yeah.
That's good on you, Chris Brown. I think it was a smart move. I heard the transcript. I didn't see the actual clip of him actually saying what he said. I just read it. I can only read it as one way, and it's a cry for help. I would have
Yeah.
had a wellness check sent too, so I understand.
Yeah. Yeah,
Let's
that's hefty stuff. Uh, there is one thing that I definitely want to get into a little bit that I don't think you've seen it yet, but if you have Peacock, there is a documentary on one Teddy Hart.
Ooh, yeah, it's on my list.
It's a 3-parter. It's very interesting. It's about this guy who's wanted to become a documentary filmmaker, and he was searching to make like the next big reality show, and he just wanted to find something that was unique. And he found out, well, there's Teddy Hart, who is one of, you know, wrestling's royal families, who's known as kind of a bad boy. And oh, by the way, he also has this thing for raising Persian cats. And dude had like 100 cats in his house.
Holy shit.
So in, I think it was 2012, he started shooting a lot of footage with Teddy at his house, and you end up finding out that Teddy is in an open marriage, and his girlfriend and his wife live in the house with him, and the girlfriend and the wife, you know, he'll tell them to do stuff, they do stuff, but then you hear stories from the girls eventually that, like, oh, when the cameras aren't there, he's assaulting us and doing all sorts of crazy shit. You know, whenever you hear the name Teddy Hart come up, everybody talks about he's really talented, but he's just absolutely nuts and toxic.
Yep.
And watching this documentary, it just opens your eyes even more so to how crappy of a human being he is. Like, you see him throughout this thing contradicting himself constantly. It's like, can you believe a word that comes out of his mouth? But the documentary itself is interesting in a look at Teddy and look at Teddy's life, but the tragedy is there was a woman that he was training and took with him to Florida. She was from Canada, and she ends up disappearing. And nobody knows what happened to her. The documentary filmmaker says, well, I was with Teddy and this woman for a time, and everything between them seemed great, and I've got all this footage of this, and he has this, he's really having a crisis of conscience where he's blaming himself in part for this woman disappearing, and at this point she's presumed dead. She had a family in Canada. She had I want to say it was 2 or 3, I think she had 3 girls that she left behind to try to get into she wanted to become a professional wrestler.
Right.
So she followed Teddy Hart to Florida to try to achieve that dream, because Teddy had to get out of the country because
What's up, Timmy?
how you doing, Tim? So takes her to Florida and starts training her, and then they have some sort of argument, and Teddy decides, well, enough of this, I'm out of here. But he ends up leaving and taking her passport with him and taking her ID with him. And she ends up going to jail. And then after she gets out of jail, she more or less was never seen again. And, there are certainly some implications, like not necessarily that Teddy did it, but if she had never met Teddy Hart, she wouldn't have ended up in Florida, and she wouldn't have ended up, having her passport taken from her, having her ID taken from her, because she wanted to get back home to Canada, and
Right.
she couldn't, because if she would have tried going to the border and going through the customs, she didn't have anything to identify herself. So it was just absolutely nuts. I mean, I'm not going to say that the Teddy Hart documentary is the new Tiger King, but it was an interesting watch, and you definitely understand why, don't touch Teddy Hart. It seems like Teddy Hart at this point wrestles in Mexico for a living, and because I don't think he'd be able to earn a living in most places around the world, because there's just so much bad publicity out there about him. And he's one of those dudes who he's lying so much to everybody, and has done so much crappy stuff to people that I don't see where anybody could trust him with anything. I mean, they get into pretty early on. He had that incident in Ring of Honor where he was just doing moonsaults on everybody. And it wasn't part of the plan, but it was dangerous because he was doing it from a top of a very high cage. But he just kept on doing it because he needed to get his stuff in. It was just... And that's kind of where they start it, and they go from there. But definitely check it out, but you definitely find out exactly what kind of POS Teddy Hart is. So
it's funny because Tim even mentioned that, since you mentioned the Tiger King, Carol Baskin, I know it's not wrestling related, but Carol Baskin has claimed that her husband, her first one that was claimed to have
not eaten by a tiger,
was not eaten by a tiger. He's been living in Costa Rica, probably at the same village that what the hell is his name?
Toby.
Toby did. Thank you. Brainless moment.
No.
Yeah.
Please, God, no.
Now I'll believe it if anybody but Carol Baskin said that he was alive. If anybody else says it, so be it. But if Carol Baskin's telling me that her ex-husband or her previous husband is alive in Costa Rica, I believe that about as much as anything that comes out of Hulk Hogan's mouth.
Brother. Yeah.
But I haven't checked it yet. I've heard a lot of different things about the documentary. I'm really intrigued by it. I'm just out of curiosity.
His infatuations with cats is just weird.
Now, my main question is, because you did say he's from wrestling royalty, so that I'm guessing he's part of the Hart family from Canada.
He is. His mom is Georgia, who is sisters with Bret Hart. Yeah.
Okay. I had to make sure, because there's 47 Hart children and 309 Hart grandchildren, and
yeah. And at the beginning, the idea for Teddy was he was doing this documentary as a way to try to reconnect with his uncle Bret, and thinking that this would be a way to resurrect his career and do good things for him. But you end up more or less finding out that Teddy just is using everybody and lying to everybody. His parents talk about him having like 147 IQ, which is, above genius.
Yep.
Not Lanny Buffalo, but
Leaping Lanny.
Yeah, but he's a genius. But all he does is use people and lie, and it's like he thinks he could get away with his lies because he's smarter than everybody, and it's like, you know what, dude, they do catch up with you, and it's just a really interesting thing to watch.
I've been wanting to watch it. I saw it the other day when I was watching Parks and Rec. So I'm ready for that. I'm really, really intrigued by this. And you know me, I love a good documentary. And the best kind of documentaries for me are wrestling documentaries.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, now that we've gone through really the shit show in wrestling this week,
thank God.
Let's see if we can find some better things. Oh wait, we probably don't have better things. We got more Vince McMahon news too.
Yeah, I really feel like we should talk about all the stuff that's happening in regards to the Royal Rumble match itself next Saturday, especially because we're 8 days away. So the big news was, I was talking about it briefly, is that it looks like one Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will not be at WrestleMania this year. He said that he doesn't have enough time to get himself in to train and be ready to perform at a high level at WrestleMania. What are your thoughts?
I think it's very odd that this is coming out 8 days before the Royal Rumble. I also think it's very odd that Cody Rhodes announced on Monday Night Raw he will be back for the Royal Rumble. Now, they're saying that Cody has not officially been medically cleared. They're saying right now also that he just hasn't gone to a doctor to get cleared. They're saying like he's healthy enough. He wrestled a damn match with a torn pec. He's healthier than he was then. He'll be in the damn match.
And they said that the reason they announced him on Monday for the Royal Rumble next week was they didn't feel like him being it's not that they didn't think he was going to be a surprise if he returned. They said they have other surprises lined up that are even better than
which
Cody
is
Rhodes.
Why my belief is the stuff going out there about The Rock is a smokescreen. I agree with Chris Brown. I think this is a smokescreen. Why would The Rock on Young Rock tease a match with Roman Reigns. Why? Why, when he knows WrestleMania is in Hollywood for this year, how couldn't he get himself in shape and get himself prepared for that? I know he's a busy guy, but basically since Black Adam, I haven't heard him about like filming any sort of movie. I know he's trying to get the XFL off the ground.
Yep.
Are you trying to tell me that like this dude who there's a difference between being like jacked and being in cardio shape? 100% there's a difference. But you're telling me that he can't, between now and then, when he's already in, at least body looking shape, he's plenty fine as far as that goes, that he can't get his cardio up in 3 months? I'm going to call bull crap on that. I think The Rock is going to show up at the Royal Rumble. I think The Rock is going to be at WrestleMania. That's my belief. Right now, maybe this is tinfoil hat, but
since I don't have an actual tinfoil hat, I'm just going to do this and call this a tinfoil hat. What if the reason that The Rock doesn't want to do, or let's say The Rock just doesn't want to do it, they pitched the idea of him coming back at the Royal Rumble. The Rock's a smart guy. He might not be as intelligent when it comes to picking and choosing the roles for movies that he's in, because clearly he's got no common sense and he's a proper yes man. You want to do this movie? Yes, of course I do. I'm The Rock. Why wouldn't I want to do this movie? I could be a tooth fairy. What? That's Austin. Sorry.
What?
But what if The Rock? I mean, The Rock knows what the hell's going on. The Rock has his, he knows. He's got his hand on the pulse. What if the reason The Rock will not be at WrestleMania is because he knows that either A, this is Cody's moment. Dwayne has already had his moment. The Rock does not need this match at WrestleMania.
He's had several moments.
Him and Steve Austin main evented 3 different WrestleManias. And oh, by the way, him and Hulk Hogan should have main evented WrestleMania 18. Let's not forget that. The Rock is the biggest. The Rock is in that conversation. He's in the Hulk Hogan, John Cena, Steve Austin, Sting, Ric Flair, that echelon. That is where The Rock is. The Rock don't need this. Cody needs this. And if it's not because of Cody, what if The Rock is like, I don't want to do this because Sami Zayn deserves this? Maybe he doesn't want to have the same situation happen with him that happened with Dave Bautista 9 years ago. And I think isn't it a bit of a coincidence that, the whole Glass Onion came out and they asked Dave Bautista about if he wanted to be a better actor than The Rock, and he just said, I wanted to be a really good one and I didn't want to do shitty movies. That's what I want to be remembered for. And now the Rock is talking about coming back. He's he's a Hollywood star in Hollywood for WrestleMania, and Sami Zayn is as white hot as fucking Daniel Bryan was 9 years ago, Jay. History has a way of repeating itself. Sami Zayn came out in an interview this week and said, never say never about me winning the championship, about me not winning the championship. He goes, I can win that belt. I know that a lot of people are speculating that him and Kevin Owens are going to team up and take the tag team championships from the Usos. I'm now convinced they're going to drop the belts to the Spooky Pals on Monday.
But that's only one half of the belts.
Yes, but now they have a tag team tournament going on SmackDown because we have one of the qualifying matches between
tonight.
Between Imperium and the Brainless Ones, one of his new favorite tag teams, the Brawling Brutes. So I'm excited for that. Yeah. I mean, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre look like a formidable tag team that could actually beat them. Of course, I want Sheamus to win the Intercontinental title more than anything else, so that's what I want. But this is, I think it's those two. If they are hell bent on splitting the belts up again, so Raw can have one and SmackDown has the other, those are your guys you do it with. You've already done it with everybody else you could with Roman Reigns. I'm not even going to count that one match that Sami Zayn had. His only main championship match he's ever had on the main roster was basically a squash match against Roman after Brock Lesnar took him to Suplex City and F5'd the shit out of him. It was not a fair shot, and it wasn't a fair chance. He is that good. He is the most compelling thing. Hell, The Undertaker said he is the biggest star, and he loves it. It's great storytelling. He fucking Undertaker. This is Sami Zayn's moment. If Cody Rhodes does not win the Royal Rumble on Saturday, and I know last week I said I'll give you Cody Rhodes of the field, and a lot of people said, Cody Rhodes, you were the one that said the field. I'll give you that.
I went with the field because I still have the feeling that The Rock is part of the field.
I don't want to varner myself, but I'm starting to lean more. Last week when we had this conversation, I was 99% in favor of Cody Rhodes and 1% on the field because I was holding out that brief glimmer of hope that Sami Zayn would still win the Royal Rumble because they're the only two people I want to see it. Now, I don't think it's that clear cut. Now that he's been announced, I can see some chicanery because they said that they don't need Cody Rhodes' return at the Rumble to be a surprise because they have something else up their sleeve. What if we get the return of the Viper? Because, like they said, I know people have said. It's not without. I know that they were saying that he had that procedure done on his back in November. We don't know that. It was never confirmed. It was never said when he actually went and got the procedure done. And I know a lot of people
We know that he showed up at a medical facility in Alabama at some point, but we don't know if it was for a procedure or if it was a follow-up to previous procedures.
Exactly. If they could keep that under wraps. Because Randy Orton is that person. Honest to goodness, Randy Orton is one of those people that if he comes out, it's going to be a surprise because nobody's expecting it. Because they've been throwing out because nobody's talking about the fact they've been throwing out all these smoke screens because it's your back. And I for one, I agree. I am, like I've said, I'm knocking on 40's door by the end of this month. But right now, I've had back problems since I was 16. You don't mess with the back. The back is not the back and the neck and the head are the three things you don't really mess with because it can really mess with you. If your back is all fucked up, you're going to have a horrible remainder of your life because you're going to be in a lot of pain and you're going to have a hard time walking and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact is that they've been hammering the fact that he's not coming back and like setting up that smoke screen that nobody's talking about because Cody Rhodes has kind of been at the forefront ever since he was basically not medically cleared, even though we know he was probably medically cleared. And the beautiful thing is Randy Orton can't come out at the Royal Rumble, and if he goes in there and let's say he tosses out Cody Rhodes last,
people aren't going to be upset because they will probably have seen about 20 RKOs.
And I'll tell you right now, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Randy Orton could do it because he was supposed to fight Roman at SummerSlam. And then this whole thing with the back injury. And then it came out that it was his injury that forced them to put the unified belts on the Usos. And that's why we're in this situation.
Crazy.
And now I'm still convinced they're going to drop those belts. I don't know why. The only way that the Spooky Pals don't win the tag team titles is if Edge fucks his shit up and this leads to Edge and Finn Balor at the Royal Rumble.
And so there are a couple of things that I really want to touch on there. If they were planning to have Edge versus Finn Balor in a Hell in a Cell match at Royal Rumble, it ain't happening. Like, they would have... You would pre-promote that. You wouldn't wait until a week before to all of a sudden jumpstart this. Edge is going to be at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
He and Finn are going to get into it during the Rumble match.
They're going to wrestle at WrestleMania.
And it'll be WrestleMania Elimination Chamber. There are going to be things going on. I don't know if it's going to end up being Finn and Rhea versus
Edge and Beth Phoenix.
Edge and Beth at WrestleMania. I'm not sure because I don't think they're going to try to join Elimination Chamber and have also a Hell in the Cell at the same time because that's the
Yeah, I don't
rumored
either.
idea for Edge and Finn. And I would completely understand having a Hell in the Cell with Edge and Finn at this point because of what occurred in the I Quit match. How do you get beyond an I Quit match? Okay, you do Hell in the Cell. But, having no
Build.
time to promote and to build this, it's not going to happen at the Royal Rumble.
No.
So,
especially, and I'll tell you right now, I was a little more skeptical that the match was going to happen at the Rumble when they announced this pitch black match between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. Let me tell you something. If you ain't talking about LA Knight, you ain't talking yeah. So that's probably why they might not do there's a good chance that's the reason why they're not going to do this Hell in a Cell match. And I have no idea what to expect from this pitch black match. I have no idea if this means it's like an unsanctioned. Is it because it's a Mountain Dew pitch black soda, so people are just getting mixed up and it's just going to be a regular match? Like we're watching.
And they're drinking. Wait. Maybe they get into the middle of the ring and they both drink pitch black soda until the other one passes out.
What if they change it at the last second and they make it a triple threat match with Uncle Howdy? And after Uncle Howdy gets pinned, they'll have Samantha Irwin go, "No, this match isn't over. This match is an elimination match." That I forgot to mention during the opening.
All you have to do is believe, and everything is going to be all right.
Oh, I cannot wait. What is this one return that's going to get under my skin? How bad could it be? Is it worse than the fact that I already know that X-Pac is going to be on Raw on Monday?
So one thing I want to point out that was the other nugget of information that came out for Raw 30, rarely seen in the last several years in wrestling, we're going to get Samu.
Wow.
With and Rikishi, so we're getting the Head Shrinkers, aka the Samoan SWAT team, going to be on Raw on Monday.
Are you kidding
because
me?
This is going to be part of the whole idea of the tribal chief being acknowledged. The Head Shrinkers, the Samoan SWAT team were one of my favorites. Samoan SWAT team versus the freaking Steiners back in the day was one of my favorite rivalries. And I think there was some family stuff that happened between Samu and other folks. But Samu came out and said, "Hey, I'm looking forward to being at Raw and seeing a lot of like my former colleagues and my family members who I haven't seen in quite a while. So I'm looking forward to that." Quite honestly, like I was a bigger fan of Samu than I was Rikishi when they were the Head Shrinkers and the Samoan SWAT team.
Oh, see, I was the opposite. I too loved the Head Shrinkers. I thought they were a great team to watch. I was more of a Fatu fan. I was more of a Rikishi fan. I've been fucking with Fatu since the 90s. The only time I didn't like him was when he was the Sultan, but that's because I didn't know he was the Sultan. But that's awesome. You know me, I love it when they bring out the old wrestlers of the day, and I'm so glad that the Bella Twins are going to be there on Monday. All the stars are there. Oh, the Tonga. Ooh, which one was the Tonga Kid? Isn't that
the Tonga Kid was also the Samoan Savage back in WCW. Tonga Kid might be there too. Tonga Kid, who I haven't seen in a minute, did end up in the episode of Dark Side of the Ring with Snuka and what have and all the stuff that went on with that and the briefcase and the dead woman.
Oh, come on, Chris Brown. You know you want to hear Brie mode. I will, every time I think of Brie Bella, I always think of when the Solomonster was asked what would be the worst song to hear on repeat. And he said that he went into a CAT scan and he had Brie mode stuck in his head the entire time. So he said that was the worst thing ever. I'm about as excited to see the Bella twins as I would to pass a kidney stone.
So, with all this being said, do you think Pat McAfee is part of the surprise entrance into the Royal Rumble?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to pop whenever he comes out, too, because it's fucking McAfee. I love me some McAfee.
On Monday, when Teddy Long is there, is he going to set a match? A tag team match playa or something with The Undertaker?
I will guarantee that he will make not only will he make a match player, I guarantee it about as much as Ron Simmons is going to say, damn.
Did you see the video out there where RVD was doing Rob, Van, and then
Damn!
Damn!
You know, Jay, after I just recently, within the last week or so, finished up watching Clash 13 for the 385th time. I'm sorry.
Such a good show. Such a good show.
Nicole's been very busy the last week. She hasn't had a chance to proofread the article yet. As soon as it does, I promise it's going to get posted. I'm excited for this one. I'm really happy about this one. I only mentioned the Big Cat and Primetime Brian Lee 404 times in the whole thing. But I think now, after watching it 385 times, I am no longer on the Ron Simmons should have been in this match with Ric Flair instead of Butch Reed. And now I need to find that match between Ric Flair and Butch Reed from, I think, Mid-South from like 87. Because, I mean, Cornette's talked about it and other people have talked about it. And I feel like I'd be doing an injustice to Butch Reed, the other Nature Boy, because there's 44 of them, by not watching that match with him and Ric Flair.
Right. All right. So another name out there WWE is hoping for the Royal Rumble is one Logan Paul. Do you think Logan Paul will show up in San Antonio next week and have an impact?
I just want to be in CM Punk's living room. If the final four people in next Saturday's Royal Rumble are The Rock, Logan Paul, Bad Bunny, and John Cena. 4 part-timers. Oh, of course. Jerry Lawler wants his spot. We don't want Jerry Lawler on the broadcast team anymore. I don't even care how bad Kevin Patrick is, and he is. He's so bad. I can't even watch Raw. Kevin Patrick. I called it. I told you all this was going to happen. I didn't see it with him. He doesn't have a voice for it. He's not a good play-by-play guy. He makes me want to bash my head against the wall after 4 minutes of listening to him talk. He's so bad, I'd rather listen to Corey Graves talk for 3 hours. And I'll even tell El Jefe that the next time I see him. I would rather listen to Corey Graves talk by himself for 3 hours than have to listen to Kevin Patrick say one word. I don't. So do they not think Corey Graves is good enough to be the play-by-play guy? They could put him with
no.
Wade Barrett
no,
on Monday
Corey
Night
Graves is a color commentator. He can do play-by-play if he wants to. He is perfect for being the foil heel. You know, he has kind of carved out his mark within WWE as being the kind of new generation Bobby Heenan-esque commentator. He isn't the same. He's his own person.
I've said he's the closest we've gotten to Heenan. I'm not saying that Corey Graves is Bobby Heenan because nobody's Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan's, when I talked about that class with Hulk Hogan and The Rock and Steve Austin earlier, Bobby Heenan's above that. Bobby Heenan's in that class by himself. because Bobby Heenan was ahead of his time, and he was the best manager, and he was the best color man in the business. I won't take anything else from an argument on that.
Chris Brown, I think we may end up with a 3-man booth for Raw coming soon, because I think Wade Barrett, that's going to be part of his thing when McAfee returns. So
I'll tell you right now, I've enjoyed Wade Barrett on SmackDown. He was great on NXT. I've enjoyed him on SmackDown. I think that he would be a great addition to add to that squad on Raw, because you give a third person over there, and I do agree, they need to have 3 people on Raw. You could still keep, because Michael Cole and Pat McAfee got SmackDown on lock. And if you want those 2 to run Monday Night Raw, I'm sure the 2 of them could kill that too, because they're both that good at what they do, and they have great chemistry and great rapport. But Wade Barrett has really won me over on SmackDown, so I would be on board with him going to Raw, especially if it meant Kevin Patrick talks less. And I agree too, Tim. I actually do like Corey Graves. I might sound like I don't, but I actually do like Corey Graves. I've been a fan of his since his days in NXT. I know there's people out there that are not as sold on Corey Graves as an announcer. But personally, I think he does a good job at it. There's things that he does that I think are not as, I'm not a big fan of, but all in all, I think he's better than most people out there as a color analyst.
Yeah. So one person that will be on Raw this Monday is one Ric Flair.
Oh, of course.
Ric Flair this week came out and said, I have no desire to wrestle again. Breaking news, Ric Flair came out today and said, I want to wrestle again. Next week, he's going to come out and say, I don't want to wrestle ever again.
He's going to be in the Royal Rumble. I'm almost positive of it. They've been hammering the fact that he won that title 31 years ago. And believe me, I don't want to see Ric Flair. I really don't. But we all know it's wrestling related, and there's a paycheck to be had by Ric Flair. So, of course, he's going to be there on Monday. I'm so excited about Ric Flair being there on Monday. I really am. Can't you tell by the look on my face? I thought it was great that we were going to get an X-Pac, Ric Flair, and the Bella Twins. Was Duke Droese and the Repo Man not available? Is the fact now Tatanka was originally scheduled for it, but he decided to go to his nephew's wrestling competition that kind of went longer than he expected. So he gracefully bowed out. Do you think it was because he saw the lineup and said, it's not good when I'm not the least desirable person to see on this Monday Night Raw? Because I'll tell you right now, there's a guy in Virginia right now who's going to be so happy to see me when I come out. And believe me, I am. I fucking love Tatanka. The fact that he didn't wrestle at WrestleMania 11 is still a crime, and I am not happy about it because you made me fucking watch the guy who's only made $20 in wrestling in his entire career.
Right. Chris Brown. I saw Ric Flair talking about how, and he was specifically commenting about Ruby Soho in the match that she had where she bled all over the place. And Ric Flair saying women should not bleed in wrestling matches, but men should bleed more than they do.
I'm surprised Rick didn't bleed during the interview. Did he?
I bet he did. Just a little bit.
Jon Moxley and Ric Flair walk into a room. They're both already bleeding.
Right.
And Chris Brown, I actually heard that it's confirmed that the Hulkster will be at the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. And my favorite part is...
in the Silver Dome, brother!
Everybody's excited just because of the fact that they cannot wait for Hulk Hogan to open his mouth.
I hope Brock Lesnar shows up.
In fact, I just wanted to be known that since we are on the topic of the Raw Triple X next Monday, the Brainless One did, in fact, in regards to that Raw on Monday, come up with a top 10 list for that Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
I give you the Brainless One's top 10 people I want to see at the Monday Night Raw Triple X reunion show. Number 10, I want to see Duke the Dumpster Droese.
Okay.
Because of course I do. Why wouldn't I want to see Duke Joshi? I might be the only Duke Joshi fan on planet Earth ever. Number 9,
True.
Al Snow. Because nothing would bring me greater joy in 2023 than a man in his 50s holding up a severed head of a freaking doll in the air, asking everybody what they want and having people scream head just to see how many people's heads explode from that. Number 8, Steve Blackman. Do I really need to go into any explanation? It's Steve fucking Blackman. Number 7.
His match with Shane.
Yes. Oh, when Shane fell off the Titan Tower, or the Titantron, yes. Number 7, Chris Jericho. But my only stipulations are, if Jericho is there, I only want to see him bring Jake Hager with his purple hat and Matt Maynard, Daddy Magic, the guy who always looks like he's coked out every time somebody's cutting a promo in the Jericho Appreciation Society. I don't want to see Sammy Guevara there at all. And frankly, Daniel Garcia is not going to do anything but just sit there and throw the same face the entire time. Number
like
6.
Vader.
Yes. Number 6, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the Funkasaurus. Only if he comes out as the Funkasaurus and he does his dance with the NWA
and he has Naomi and what's her name? The Funkadactyls.
Cameron. Yes.
Yeah.
Cameron and Naomi. I'm down. You know me. You give me the Funkasaurus, I'll be happy.
Somebody call my mama.
Number 5, James E. Cornette.
Tim wants a Sammy Guevara and X-Pac match.
I would rather... Never mind. I'd rather stick my head in a blender.
Eat cyanide.
Yeah. Number 4. And number 5, James E. Cornette. Why the hell not? That would definitely, like, if you really want to stick it to AEW, you have Cornette come out for that. Number 4, his name is Enzo Amore, and he is a certified G, and I would love to see him on Monday Night Raw on Monday. Number 3, Ric Flair. I know that Ric Flair was already announced, but not just any Ric Flair. He has to dress up as the Black Scorpion.
Yes.
Number 2, the big cat, Mr. Hughes. Because I've already seen him come out to the ring probably 309 times after I had to rewatch and watch. And I'm pretty sure he's on his way to the ring again at Clash 13 to attack somebody else that we didn't know about. Because him going after Sid at that show meant absolutely nothing. And
it was great.
And the number 1 person, and I did this list before I saw the confirmation, the number 1 person I want to see at Monday Night Raw's 30th anniversary, the immortal Hulk Hogan, but with all of his new friends in the Scientologist community.
With a couple of buddies.
With a couple of buddies. I lost my pen. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Enzo versus Bo Dallas.
All you have to do is Bo leave.
I want to say we mentioned it last week that Hulk Hogan was dating a Scientologist, or I probably saw it online, but I think it's funny that Hulk Hogan's new girlfriend is a Scientologist, and now well-known Scientologists are hanging out with Hulk Hogan.
Tom Cruise?
I don't know if it was Tom Cruise, but
John Travolta.
there was somebody said it, and it's like, dear God, they've already tried to suck in Hulk Hogan. Good luck trying to get out of that. No, he's not going to need that luck. He's not going to need that luck to get out of Scientology.
He's going to hook up.
He's going to be the first person to get kicked out of Scientology. Because what's going to happen is he's going to go to somebody and say, brother, I was there when L. Ron Hubbard did this shit. And then after that, him and I teamed up to take on the Nasty Boys in Madison Square Garden, brother.
That's true. I think the thing that is unrecognized is the butterfly effect going on with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is part of the multiverse of madness. When he went against Macho Man and Zeus at that SummerSlam, and they talked about the cauldron of the madness, they were talking about the multiverse. Hulk Hogan has been stuck in the multiverse for like 3 decades.
I mean, that's the only explanation that he came up with, that he wrestled 400 days in a year. The fact that he said that Elvis was a huge fan of his, even though Elvis was dead years before he even started wrestling. The fact that he was the one that was offered the deal on the Foreman Grill, but he was in the bathroom taking a shit when they called. The fact that he was supposed to be the
He missed
bassist
out.
he was supposed to be the bassist for Metallica. That's almost to a point where I want to start coming up with rumors and see if they come back and, yeah, brother, that really happened to me. Well, Hulk Hogan was supposed to be Hans Gruber in Die Hard, but they liked Alan Rickman better.
I mean, you can't make it up.
Oh, man.
So I don't know how we pivot from any of this into anything, but what I'm going to say here is one of the GOATs, R-Truth, came out this week and said that he has had some setbacks as far as his recovery from the torn quad. He is no Vince McMahon. He did not tear both quads simultaneously, but he said that after his surgery, there was an infection and it set him back a little bit of time, but he did also say simultaneously, like, I will be back sooner than you expect.
Oh, Tim, if Hogan fell from Nakatomi Tower, they would show Bruce Willis going 1, 2, and before he threw up that 3, we all know that somehow Hogan, even though he fell from 30, almost 40 stories high from Nakatomi Tower, would somehow still get up and start hulking up. And Carl Winslow would know to get away from him. So would the dude from the Goonies.
Hey, you guys!
But I think that what's his face from the Breakfast Club probably would not have made it. Hulk Hogan probably would have hooked up on him, and that when he threw that U at him and then climbed up Nakatomi Tower from the outside.
And that motherfucker who looked like Huey Lewis, like Hulk Hogan would have killed
the guy
him.
Who looks like Huey Lewis. Or the guy, the reporter who was told he didn't have a dick by Bill Murray in Ghostbusters. Hey, yes. This guy doesn't have a dick.
That dude, that was his part.
My favorite part of I hate the fact that we do it. I always have to. I'm sorry, I have to mention it with Ghostbusters. That part where he's sitting there and he's telling the cops to throw the freaking Ghostbusters in jail when all the ghosts are flying out of the building, and when Harold Ramis goes, "Oh, your mother!" I fucking die every time he does that because Egon don't do shit like that. So to piss off Egon was said a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to mention that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But
So recently returned from injury, but one Matt Cardona recently has filed to get the trademarks for the name Zack Ryder, and that was for doing stuff for, like, I think it was like towels, T-shirts, and just a whole bunch of merchandise. If the man says he doesn't want to be Zack Ryder again, if WWE allowed that to lapse, like they did with Aleister Black and other shit, and Santino Marella, by the way.
Yep. I know. I have it written down, too.
Like this way, if he does sign with WWE again, he could say, yeah, I'm not going to be Zack Ryder. I own the name. I own the name.
Series, bro.
Yeah.
If he comes out as Zack Ryder on next Saturday, I will not be stunned.
I would not either. It would not be a shocker. The problem is, Tim, I think that's a great idea. Rip Thomas versus Red and Yellow Hogan versus Hollywood Hogan.
You got to make it a fatal 4-way and throw Thunder Lips in there. Although it wouldn't be fair because we all know that Hollywood Hogan would find a way to win.
Finger poke of doom
It'd be
on
the-
Thunder Lips.
Are you kidding me? That Fatal 4-Way would be the longest running match because nobody would want to lose. It'd be like a golden shovel on a pole match when you put Triple H, John Cena, and Hulk Hogan in it.
Yeah. So,
Thunder Lips
ahead.
had more wrestling moves in that movie than Hulk Hogan had in his entire WWF run.
Yeah.
Lights out, meatball. Speaking of Santino Marella, he just came out and he appeared on Impact, and he's going to be the new
Hard to Kill.
Yeah, he came out to Hard to Kill, and he is going to have a new position of power there.
He's just, like head of the authority or what like have that. You. And
some weird title he has.
So, I mean, Santino said that WWE let the trademark on Santino Marella lapse in like 2021, and Scott D'Amore said, "Oh, by the way, trademark has lapsed. We're gonna get the trademark." So Santino Marella able to use the name and moniker Santino Marella.
You know, when they were announcing the 30th anniversary of Raw, I really wanted to see Santino, because all we know is that they could have had another installment of Tea Time with Santino with him and Sheamus, and they could have had, like, could you imagine if they did it and instead of having Kozlov, they replaced him with Butch? Pete Dunne just starts flipping out and throwing plates everywhere as Santino and Sheamus are just drinking tea. Pete Dunne's in the corner eating the turnbuckle.
Right.
He's biting the leg of the table.
It would have been great.
It's a shame. I'm sad about that.
Shameful thing. Lobster head.
One thing that's not a shame, though, which probably would have been a hell of a segue for some positivity. A couple in professional wrestling welcomed their first child this week as Peyton Royce and Sean Spears welcomed their baby boy. So I'm good on them. Congratulations on them. We knew that Peyton Royce was pregnant. And, you know, I've always liked her. I've always been a fan of hers and Sean Spears. So I'm happy for them. He's obviously, that's probably where he is right now. He's out being a dad. So good on them. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I mean, fairly recently, somebody asked Sean Spears when we could expect him on AEW TV, and he said not anytime soon. And clearly, part of this was the impending arrival of he and the former Peyton Royce's child. Yes. So, you know, that I think overall they've done all right for themselves in the wrestling business, but they're clearly not going to ever be the top rung where they're going to, you know, make like life-changing money at this point. So if both of them are trying to pivot out of wrestling, you know, this would be a good time. I mean, with Gargano and Candice, you know, they did pretty well for themselves, but decided, like, all right, no, we're in. We're still all in.
Well, I know that Sean Spears has a wrestling school. I think him and Tyler Breeze are the ones who have that wrestling school together. So he really doesn't need to be on the road wrestling anyway. He's a hell of a performer. I always enjoyed his work in the ring, and honest to goodness, we always talk about people who have their moments. Even Sean Spears has a WWE moment. Because that first Royal Rumble, when he came out as number 10, that fucking place popped.
Unglued.
For Ty Dillinger. I know I did. I thought that was...
It was a good booking moment.
Yes, exactly. And then the next time they had him come out as number 10, he got his ass kicked and didn't enter the Rumble. I'm not replacing him with Curtis Axel. Or I'm not replacing Curtis Axel with him.
I hope to God, that's who we see, one of the people we see 8 days from now.
If if Curtis Axel makes a return in the ring for WWE this year as as a regular full-time employee, he could be the first ever 2-time Hall of Famer in the F and Marks Hall of Fame. I will absolutely put him in a second time. We've already announced that Muda is going to go in next year.
Yeah.
Why not have two of them already figured out 11 months in advance?
Right.
God only knows we already got our brainless moment for the year.
Vince McMahon keeps on, doing, hold my beer, I got something dumber for you. We shall see. We shall see. It's probably going to be Vince.
What happens if Shane McMahon shows up next Saturday? I want chaos. You know me. I want chaos. I want destruction. I want bullshit. I want...
Kane!
Give me the shit bomb and throw it in the blender. Leave the top off. See what happens. That's
Clash 13. Clash 13.
Clash 13.
All right. So, one Seth Franklin Rollins returned from injury at a house show last week in Virginia in Roanoke, and he faced one Austin Theory. You know, he had tweeted out a similar tweet to when he tore up his knee 6 years ago after he got hurt. Clearly, whatever he was dealing with was not quite as serious as he originally thought. So good to see Seth Rollins back. I mean, that dude, top performer in WWE last year.
He's their workhorse. He got a lot of consideration from me for Wrestler of the Year. I almost made him Seth Rollins versus the World as my rivalry of the year. If it wasn't for the fact that the Iron Sheik has been holding on to vendetta against Hulk Hogan since I was shitting in a diaper. So
yeah,
you gotta have Seth Rollins. He needs to be at WrestleMania. I'm sorry. You need your biggest in the biggest moment of the biggest show of the year. You need your biggest stars. And he's one of your biggest stars. No question. Seth Rollins is one of your biggest stars. And he could wrestle, and hell, he could be the guy that's wrestling Steve Austin, all we know. And it would make sense.
Yeah.
He could be the one that's fighting Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. Yeah, Chris, I saw the fact that Shane McMahon made over $800,000 for that one appearance where he absolutely decimated the Royal Rumble and Brock Lesnar was ready to kill him. And then he got fired. He got Ole Anderson. Ole Anderson and Shane McMahon are the only people who got fired in the middle of a show that they were producing.
Clash 13.
I'm just the only premium. Do you think there's another show out there that we could put in there, or is that the? I mean,
everybody talks about December to Dismember,
but
God, I will never ever look at that the same as I do Clash 13.
Isn't that the one where
Clash
Joey
13 was just?
Wasn't that the ladder match where Joey Mercury's face almost got caved in?
I don't know if it was that show. Yeah, with the Jeff Hardy botch.
Yeah, and he fucked. I want to say that was the first match, and that set the tone to Bobby Lashley winning in one of the worst Elimination Chamber matches of all time, let alone the worst ECW themed pay-per-view of all time.
Yeah.
But
wait. Chris Brown, are you talking Capital Punishment or Capital Combat? Because Capital Combat was the one with RoboCop. Anyway.
Oh man. Speaking of people who are no longer with WWE, Devon Dudley yesterday announced that he will be leaving WWE. Him and WWE came to a mutual agreement. I know a lot. I know this probably is stemming from the fact that he was booked for an ECW reunion show, and Triple H told him he couldn't go. So it doesn't surprise me that he opted out. I will say this: it seems like him and Bubba Ray are teasing a reunion of the Brainless One's all-time favorite tag team. Just inject it into my fucking veins. Just give it to me. Just give me what I want. If you're gonna tell me,
Give me what I want.
you're going to tell me in 2023, there's a very good possibility I'm going to see my favorite wrestler of all time wrestle and my favorite tag team of all time wrestle. I don't even care where the Dudley Boys wrestle. I don't care. If it's on Impact, I'm going to watch. If it's on AEW, I'll probably watch. Depends on who they're wrestling. Especially if they're fighting QT Marshall. You know, I'll book right there. I'll be on the channel before it even starts.
Tim, the Halloween Havoc where the Steiners put Abdullah the Butcher into the electrocution chair, that was some good shit, pal.
Oh God, Jay, what about the
good.
What about the watered down pay-per-views when WWE had the brand split and they were doing Raw and SmackDown themed matches? You know what one I was thinking about the other day that doesn't get the recognition for being such a shitty match? Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler. Because I had a theory. I don't remember exactly. I know you have.
This guy sucks.
Do you remember what song Michael Cole came out to the ring at that WrestleMania against Jerry Lawler? When Jack Swagger was in his corner.
I don't remember.
I am 100% convinced. I'm not positive, but I'm convinced that he came out to the Monday Night Raw theme.
We're going out tonight.
The fact that it is very possible that Michael Cole came out to the ring to the worst band in the history of music in what people say is the worst WrestleMania match of all time. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah? In the Triple Tower cage match, 10 versus 2, Hogan and Savage. Yeah.
Zeus was in that match.
The Punjabi prison match that the great Khali took part in with the Batista.
With Batista.
Oh God,
that was a
terrible
shit bomb.
You know, I've been thinking about firing up some more tournaments on Instagram. So all the Instagram followers, would you be interested if the Brainless One started posting more tournaments on there? I'm looking for feedback. I've been getting that itch again because I've been having a bunch that I'm not fighting anybody over Nickelback. It's not worth it.
Hey, I predict in the future we will get a Creed and Nickelback tour. And it might be the greatest thing that ever happened. El Jefe's brain would explode.
El Jefe would be the first person to buy tickets for that tour. And you and him would be the only two people who bought tickets for that thing.
Wrong. It would be sold out. It would be the greatest thing ever.
I'm going to tell you right now, Jay. I know I've been doing these top 10 lists. I can give you 1,000 reasons why I don't want to go see Creed. And then half of them are going to be armbar.
Yeah. All right. So,
you know what? I am amazed that we have made it this far in the podcast and we haven't talked about Vince McMahon paying off another woman from his indiscretions of the 80s. I mean, we were just talking Allegedly. So Vince McMahon
he admits no fault in this and just wanted to not have to have expensive litigation. That's why you spend multiple millions of dollars for something that didn't happen in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just like, Superfly Jimmy Snuka got off the murder charge the first time, but when he was frail and 9 million years old is when you decided you're going to put him in jail.
Probably not wrong, Tim. Probably not wrong.
Could you? Because they said that Vince is going to come out on Monday. What if he does come out and fuck Katie Vick on national television? I mean, it is XXX. It's either that or Edge and Lita are going to have a a redo.
A re-sexathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I so back in '86, Vince McMahon did some inappropriate things and tried to force his way
Allegedly.
on former referee Rita Chatterton, and that is who he settled out of court with. She even went into in depth and saying all the things he did. Jay, I know we were just talking about Jerry McDivitt last week.
Mm.
I think we undersold him by calling him Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky. This guy might be I don't even know, like the Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I'm almost convinced that if Jesus himself needed a lawyer, that's who he would call.
He'd be like, hey, Jerry, what you got going on? Oh, you're doing another thing for Vince?
Oh, sorry.
Well,
I didn't know you were a lawyer for the devil. The genetic jackhammer. The genetic jackhammer.
So one of the things coming out from the board of directors is the money that's been talked about and the payouts that have been talked about are only scratching the surface. There's been far more that Vince did beyond this that we don't even know about. I bet at this point, Vince could have fed the world for like a year or two with all the payouts he made just to get his name like not in the papers for being a piece of shit.
And it's funny too, like, because Tim and Chris Brown were actually talking about how much money that Vince McMahon has shelled out. It was 19.6 million or 19.8 million after this whole investigation happened. And I know that the woman
we know about.
And I know that the woman that he settled with was looking to get over 11 million. They said it was not exactly 11 million, but it wasn't far off. So even if it was 9-10 million, that's that we know of, that's like 30. And now there's another group. I think what was it? The Chicago Fire and Police or something like Fire Board or something like that is now filing an injunction to stop Vince McMahon from overtaking.
So one of the things Vince did this week was within the bylaws of the company, made it so he didn't have to talk to the board of directors about any sale of the company or any major decisions as far as TV rights goes for WWE going forward. So he has autonomy. Nick Khan this week in an interview said there's only one person at the head of WWE, and it's not me. One thing I do want to touch on in here, though, about the media rights deal. I think we touched on it last week about Fox allegedly losing so much money by having WWE. I just have some questions about the validity of that reporting. The USA Network has been airing Monday Night Raw for how many years? A long time, right?
A very long time. I couldn't even tell you how long.
They had that 5 years with Spike TV, but they've been on USA basically for 25 of the 30 years Monday Night Raw has gone on. They paid similar money for the rights for Monday Night Raw. They get less ratings. It's 3 hours, but they get less ratings than Fox does on Friday night. If WWE was such a bad investment, why would Comcast even think about buying it?
Exactly.
If Fox was losing so much money, like, I'm not buying everything that came out last week as far as how much money is being lost. I think they're saying that the price tag for when they charge for commercials for SmackDown is far less than just about anything that they have on the air. I don't think they're losing $100 million a year.
No, they're not.
Could they be losing money? Certainly. But I don't think that Comcast would have signed into this agreement thinking that they were going to lose a crap ton of money, because guess what? We haven't heard any reporting about them losing a crap ton of money on WWE.
And it's interesting that Mike Rainey brought that up too, that rumors are Comcast is the leading candidate to buy WWE. It's amazing because the beginning of last week, it was Saudi Arabia were the heavy favorites to land it. And then right before we did the podcast last week, it was changed to Disney was the heavy favorites. Now Comcast is going to be the heavy favorite. It's only going to be a matter of time before we find out Google's the heavy favorite, and then Fox will be the heavy favorite. And then at the end of the day, Elon Musk is going to come in at the last second and buy WWE for $11.4 billion.
Yeah.
Because Elon Musk, I would love that. That is something I would be on board with, just because all the hell and chaos that would ensue. Because at the end of the day, people, if you haven't figured it out, I just want chaos. I don't want peace. I want chaos. I just don't want the cons to buy the company. And like I said last week,
I don't want the Saudis to buy the company. I had people text me last week when the Jaguars were down 27-0, saying, I guess, your fantasy booking isn't going to happen. And then the Cons and the Jaguars said, hold my beer, give me another couple hours, and I'm going to change your mind.
Jay, right before kickoff of that Jaguars-Chargers game on Saturday, I went on to one of the betting sites I have, one of the ones I don't even use that much, and I just happened upon a $10 free bet that was sitting in my inbox. And I took that little $10 free bet that they gave me, and I bet it. All $10 on it. I went to Super Bowl futures. You think I bet on the Giants? Fuck no, I would never bet on my team. I did it once, I'd never do it again. I owed some freaking bookie up in freaking Connecticut $100, and he broke my kneecaps twice. Just kidding, I paid him. But I would never bet on the Giants. A $10 bet on the Buffalo Bills would have won me like $38. Wasn't that enticing? Sorry, the odds were too good, and I'm sorry, Tony Khan, I had to do it. I bet my $10 free bet at the Jaguars to win the Super Bowl at plus 4,700. So if the Jaguars win the Super Bowl, I win $470.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's anything like that run I had a couple of years ago, I highly doubt I get that money either. That's why I didn't care. But I was like, of course, they're losing as bad as they were at halftime last week. And I'm like, I'm going to bed. I know what's going to happen. Jacksonville's going to come back and win this game because they're playing the fucking Chargers. But they're going to come back and win this game. And then next week, they're going to get curb stomped by the fucking Chiefs.
We shall see.
Longest odds, too. That was because I was looking on FanDuel and DraftKings. A Giants-Jaguars Super Bowl would pay some ungodly amount of money if it came in just for like $1 bet. You could probably win like almost $2,000 on $1 bet if the Giants or the Jaguars make it. Again, I don't expect the Giants to make it to the Super Bowl. All the people who are comparing this to the year we beat you guys at Super Bowl 42, no fucking chance. Sorry, no.
That's what you got.
No. I just want to beat the fucking Eagles tomorrow.
And then lose to the 49ers, who are going to beat the Cowboys, man.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Who are from Dallas.
That's what I'm
By the way, they run with Gallus, and Gallus came back to WWE, man.
Oh, my God. Jay, the worst thing that could ever happen, and I'm sorry, and I'm done with the football after this. The worst thing that's going to happen is Philadelphia and Dallas winning this weekend. Because in the NFC Championship game would be the two teams I fucking despise more than any other franchise in professional sports that is not called the Yankees. And even then, I probably hate the Cowboys. I definitely hate the Cowboys more than I hate the Yankees. But that is the absolute Cowboys-Eagles NFC Championship game is the absolute worst case scenario for me because I'd want to fucking jump off the roof. I have zero.
The only caveat I'm putting for that is it will make Uncle Ronnie and his hat happy.
Jay, the fact that as much as I hate the 49ers, that I'm rooting for them to go to the Super Bowl just because I don't want to see Philadelphia or Dallas there is bothersome
Brock
to me.
Purdy.
I just, I can't.
All
But
right.
I'm going to stay positive.
So we did talk about Vince McMahon. A couple things I would like to bring up is we had Adam Hopkins and Stephanie Fiandella both resign their positions as VP of Communications. Not only that, is before the show, we found out that there were several employees at the office let go. I mean, all of this is pointing towards the company being sold, and poor Nick Khan has to do the dirty work that Vince McMahon is calling him to do. The fact that you have Adam Hopkins, who is at the company for 25 plus years. You have Stephanie Fiandella, who has been more or less with the company for like the last 20 years, deciding they need to leave. That's terrible. Like, long-time employees, like, you know what? Peace out. I'm the hell out of here. I'm sure at 25 years or, almost 20 years into the company and being VPs within a very important sector of the company, making a good salary, like that's messed up. But there's crazy shit going on.
Well, that's because, Jay, they have to pay for George Barrios to return, and of course, with George Barrios returning, they had to reconfigure all the doors in the building because they got to get his fucking forehead into the building.
I cannot wait until Cody points at his head after he wins the Royal Rumble.
I can't wait until he comes out and is at the Monday Night Raw reunion show on Monday, and they use him as the Titantron. Shane McMahon's going to fall off the side of his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of interesting things as far as Impact Wrestling goes that I wouldn't mind getting into.
Okay.
Mickie James, who many thought that her last match was going to be at the Hard to Kill pay-per-view because right now she's doing a thing similar to Ric Flair in his last run in WWE, where next match that he lost, he was going to be, forced to retire from the company. Well, Mickie James has the same stipulation. She had a title match at Hard to Kill, and shocker, she won. She won. She is once again Knockouts champion. So Mickie James will continue to ride in the wrestling industry at least for a little while longer.
And she's solidifying herself in that GOAT status. I think she's almost there. If she's not there already, I'm pretty sure she's there. For me, it's either her or Trish.
Yeah. Sami and the Bloodline have arrived on SmackDown.
Speaking of Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, last Friday's main event on SmackDown between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn got 2.4 million viewers. That's John Cena numbers. And I'm telling you, as much as I'm sure it was the fact that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn wrestled for the 1 millionth time on SmackDown, that's because of Sami Zayn.
Right.
Oh, and I can't wait for the fact that we're going to get our 9 millionth fucking contract signing tonight, just for the last 2 years. I feel like we just had a contract.
Well, we had a contract signing on Monday, right? Did we get a contract signing with Alexa and Bianca, or was that just something announced?
I think it was something that was
something
announced.
Like that.
Yeah.
Anyway. Also, on the Impact end of things, we did have Tara, the former Victoria, return to Impact. So, that was one of those names that, maybe you could see showing up at the Royal Rumble, but apparently no mas.
We're going to get Zack Ryder and Chelsea Green instead.
Woo, woo, woo.
You know it. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I wanted to come.
maybe that was like Zack Ryder's thing, aka Matt Cardona's thing. Said, "Okay, Triple H, I'll come back as Zack Ryder, but I need to own the trademarks."
Yeah, I don't think Zack Ryder's
Tough luck, pal.
I don't think Matt Cardona has the same kind of pull like Cody Rhodes coming in and saying, "I don't want to be fucking Stardust again."
I mean, Matt Cardona does not need to come back to WWE. He's doing just fine.
I agree. He doesn't need to. He's only coming back just to make me happy because I enjoy watching Zack Ryder wrestle. Are you serious, bro? I still remember when he won the Intercontinental title to start off WrestleMania 33, I believe it was. I was stunned, and then he lost the title the next night.
Nah.
That was so fucking stupid.
Vince was like, "Hold my beer. I'm gonna fuck him over again." Shame on him for getting over. Shame on Triple H for fixing the shit Vince did for all those years. Shame on them.
It's a shameful thing, Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another name returning to Impact was one Frankie Kazarian. Kazarian, who was at AEW for the past few years, had a couple-year option that AEW was actually looking to re-up with him, and he said, thanks, but no thanks. He felt that he had a little bit more gas left in the tank and did not want to hang out with Cassius Ohno behind the scenes of AEW in catering.
The last legitimate thing I remember Frankie Kazarian doing was he was thrown into a random 6-person tag match with like Sammy Guevara, I believe, was in it, and Tay Conte, and I want to say it was him, and it might have been Paige Van Zandt. I don't remember, but that's the last thing I remember. He was doing, or he teamed up with Sammy Guevara, and I don't remember. All I know is that Frankie Kazarian did that, and then we didn't see much from Frankie Kazarian, and then he was wrestling part-time and Impact anyway, so he was like, fuck it. Why am I going to go back to AEW? I'm a bigger deal here.
Right.
So, I don't blame him.
So good for him. Go to a place that, if you feel you got a little bit more left in the tank, don't sit there behind the scenes. Go and build up the next generation and do your thing. So good on him.
Yeah. I agree. Hell of a worker, too. Hell of a worker.
Yeah. And he spoke in an interview saying, you know what, I had very good, very professional discussions with WWE about a possible spot, and, we didn't come to an agreement, but, you never know where the future, what the future holds. Quite honestly, like, he definitely, to me, fits the mold of a future NXT coach.
Agreed. Kind of like that Matt Bloom type of role that he's in.
Chris Brown, I got nothing about nothing against Hit Row, but Los Lotharios, yeah, you know.
So are they doing 2 heel tag teams?
Well, Hit Row should be winning that match. You just turn them, they need to win.
Yes, especially after AJ Francis just lost to Ricochet in a qualifying match into the Royal Rumble. Should they even be in this tournament because he just lost in his last chance at the Rumble?
Well, that's a singles match versus a tag match. Playa.
I understand, but it's all right. You're right.
Wait.
I'm just surprised that Los Lotharios hasn't even been on TV since God only knows when is getting a tag team tournament Are they basically getting fed to Hit Row, just like how Jinder Mahal got fed to Braun Strowman in the Intercontinental tournament, or the SmackDown World Cup tournament, I should say?
The Pat O'Connor Memorial Tournament.
Oh God!
Right?
Why?
Right?
Why, Jay? Why? That I had to. I don't think you understand how painful that rewatch was for me. Jay, I had to spend 3 days trying to recuperate all the brain cells that I killed over that period of time.
So
That
good.
might have been the most I smoked for one wrestling show in my entire life.
Now,
And I'm counting the
how
day
many
I
times
took.
did you watch the Z-Man versus Primetime Brian Lee?
I lost count. I go. You don't understand, Jay. When I'm feeling blue, and if I can't find it on YouTube, I will go on to Peacock or when it was the network too, and just watch that because it's funny as shit.
The Z-Man!
That
On a separate note, people signing with places, we got Hiroshi Tanahashi renewing his contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Tanahashi, the Tom Brady of professional wrestling at 46 years old, continuing on his hunt for that next elusive title. Tom Brady next year will sign somewhere and have a possibility of winning another title.
are they really doing the Viking Raiders after they did that whole Valhalla bullshit with Sarah Logan? They're gonna basically get fed to Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Are they doing the
Sad.
whole? Are they doing the whole tournament tonight? The first round at least? Because if they're doing Viking Raiders and Sheamus and McIntyre, and wow, oh god, oh Los Lotharios though.
He's
I
fat.
can I can guarantee you that SmackDown will not be on when I get out there if Los Lotharios is on there. Oh god. Oh lord. And the Viking Raiders, I keep having faith that the SmackDown or like the tag team divisions are going to get better. And then Vince McMahon comes back, and then Dax Hardwood says, "Yeah, that's really gotten us second guessing our next decision because Vince didn't really like us." And after hearing all the shit that they went through with Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard on Cornette's podcast, I wouldn't go back either.
I love you.
It is what it is. I'd like to see him back in WWE, but because you know me, I like tag team wrestling, unlike the chairman of the board for WWE.
Ugh.
Ugh.
All right, so a couple other things I want to quickly hit on. It looks like Hit Row, or not Hit Row, but the Hurt Business will be coming back soon. We saw MVP getting involved with Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, stuff with Omos and Bobby Lashley, and Omos kind of helping out Lashley to become number one contender for the U.S. title on Monday. I wouldn't be against having a return of the Hurt Business with having Omos be like the big heavy and Lashley being the primary. And, you know, maybe figure out a way to get your former tag team champions to not look like such a joke.
Real quick, because oh shit, wrong button.
Yeah.
Mike Brady's got a question that's been bothering him. What the fuck are they doing with Elias? I feel he's being buried. I'll tell you this much. If you remember Elias's run in NXT when Triple H was in charge, Elias was a jobber. That's why Jay and I were always baffled that of all the people who made the jump from NXT to the main roster who have had incredible success, that Elias was one of them. And it's nothing against him. He's a very, very talented individual.
I love Elias.
He's an effing Marks Hall of Famer.
And he got squashed.
He got squashed by Omos. I don't know. Maybe they just... I don't know. I don't know if they're punishing Elias because Vince McMahon liked him or not, or the fact that they'd rather have him... I mean, he had a great match with Solo in that, you know, Orchestra of Destruction match, whatever it was called, where he went through the fucking piano, which was so fucking badass. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that that's what's going to happen, is that he's being fed to be the guy that gets fed to people. I don't.
That's such a crying shame. I mean, the guy, as much as Vince gave him opportunity, Elias took that opportunity and became one of the biggest heels in the company. And for whatever reason, at some point, Vince became less enamored with him, and he had to become redacted, as you like to call him, and
that never happened.
Took away 2 years of the dude's career.
Never happened.
I mean, just watch he and Kevin Owens in Seattle. It was so loud they had to shout at one another so they could hear what the hell was going on. That's how much heat this freaking dude had. And for whatever reason, Vince decided to take it down a notch. He wanted, his boy Rick Boogs to become a thing. So we got to do away with Elias. What the fuck?
Because we can't have more than one dude who can wrestle playing a guitar.
Right.
Because it's not like they didn't have the Honky Tonk Man and Greg Valentine. And I highly doubt that the Greg the Hammer Valentine could play the fucking guitar. But we had them in
Well, I mean, they were rhythm and blues, playa.
Now, and the fact is on, I think it was on Dynamite, or it was recorded for Rampage tonight, or I think it was Wednesday on Dynamite when Orange Cassidy defended his All In Championship against Jay Lethal. Danhausen busted out a guitar. So now I am getting into the works, and I want to make it happen. The concert of all concerts. The 4 guitarists. Give me Elias. Give me Rick Boogs, even though I don't really want him. Give me Danhausen, and give me Cousin Jay. I want to see the 4 of you jamming out on the guitar. And I'll tell you right now, you and freaking Elias would shred more than anybody else.
We will. I think we're going to play Thus Spake Zarathustra. Yeah, it's going to be great.
What do you guys want to hear? Freebird.
I've played that before.
I know you have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and don't forget, I have a musical number coming up for the next podcast. I can't wait. I'm excited. I haven't practiced yet, but I'm excited.
So the plan is, everybody who's watching right now, is the podcast will be live the day of the Rumble. It's going to be next Saturday, not next Friday, next Saturday, where it will be myself, the brainless one, and F and Mark's Hall of Famer El Jefe. Yes. We will all be in the same room, and it's going to be something to behold.
Yes, that's one way to put it. Oh, Jay, Tim wants you to sing Hit Me Baby one more time.
I know that he would want me to do that specifically for the... This guitar's probably not in tune. Let's see. Little out. I may have a guitar somewhere in here that is at least relatively in tune.
Yeah?
Yeah! I mean, I did play it for a job interview.
That's just tremendous. I mean, I knew of that. I've heard that story. It's a great story if you haven't heard it. But he has.
I had family members at my house who heard it. Oh, baby, how was I supposed
to know? Oh, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not getting sucked into singing Britney Spears. Someone comes inside and show me how you wanna do me. Tell me, baby, 'cause I need to know. Nobody wants to hear me sing. I'm loneliness is killing me.
And
I confess, I certainly still believe. And I'm not with you, I lose my Give me a sign. They're not going to confuse me with Britney Spears ever. And baby, one more time. Oh, God.
By the way, Tim's a really good singer.
Price to the show was a theoretical way if a scenario, a.k.a. if WWE were to merge, what would you think of Danhausen being added to the White Six, now 7 with a new addiction? You know how I feel about Danhausen. You give me any Danhausen on the TV, and with Bray Wyatt, it'd be fun. I've thought about. It's funny. Like I've actually booked. I booked an AEW WWE Super Show, and I did like some kind of a gimmicky match. And my idea would be Sami Zayn versus Orange Cassidy, just because that would be fun to watch.
Look good.
Question: do you know how to play Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer?
Not at the current moment.
Okay. I had to ask. I thought about it the other day, and I was like, I wonder if Jay knows that song. I know he knows the song, but I don't know if you know it like that way. This isn't the mix.
I do not know it like that, but I know my mother knows very well Dominic the Italian Christmas Donkey.
Oh, everybody knows that. I've still yet to see that. I need to see that one of these years. Your mother dancing to Dominic the Donkey.
Yeah?
Yeah? You got any other news or notes there, Cousin Jay?
No, I think that is it for my list.
I got nothing else more, so I think it's now time for our good, our bad, and our brainless. So, Jay, what do you got for your good for this week?
You know, I was really happy to see that Santino Marella came back as Santino Marella. WWE does not own him. And he was able to use that name because WWE found no reason to keep that name around. So
his and Ryback's was another one. I remember that. Because Ryback said, hey, now that I'm Ryback again, who wants to see me return and where? And everybody told him to return.
Nobody!
My good for this week, I am going with professional wrestlers. After what happened with Jay Briscoe, somebody set up a kind of like a GoFundMe thing to help support because, I mean, a woman did lose her husband and both of her daughters are fighting for their lives so that they could be able to walk or whatever. And every dollar counts. Every wrestler I've heard Chris Jericho donated $10,000. Kevin Owens donated, I think, $500 or something. And the fact that all these wrestlers, James E. Cornette, also, all these people are reaching out. This is a good cause. Please help when you can. The fact that, unfortunately, his death is what's bringing all these people together is the one good thing that I could actually take from what happened to Jay Briscoe this week. So I'm giving wrestlers who did that. That's what it was. Kevin Owens did donate $10,000.
Was it dollars or cupcakes? Was it for a bake sale for cupcakes or?
That's where he got the $10,000 from. He sold all those cupcakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that gets my good for this week.
That was he and Neville, right?
Yes. Well, Neville sold cookies.
Actually, I thought I heard it was Joe who sold cookies.
He sold some Owens. Neville sold the fudge stripes. Kevin Owens sold cupcakes, and Cassius Ohno bought them all.
Great stuff.
What do you got for your bad this week?
You know, there was an awful lot of bad things going on this week. It's really hard to pinpoint one thing as worse than the various things going on. But, you can't make this brainless, but I'm going to go with Jay Briscoe dying as the bad for this week. You can't put that at brainless because it's just a tragedy.
Yeah.
And so, Jay Briscoe passing away.
I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to say wrestling fans are my bad for this week, just because of the fact that they're using this poor guy who's a father, a husband, an all-around great guy. If you talk to, every single person, every single wrestler said that Jay Briscoe touched him in some way, shape, or form. Sami Zayn was devastated. Kevin Steen was devastated. Eddie Kingston, you name it. Everybody. There's a lot of people who were touched by the.
Seth Rollins said, "Hey, without Jay Briscoe, there's probably not a Tyler Breeze. Without a Tyler Breeze, there's not a Seth Franklin Rollins."
Yep. And just the fact that the fans are going out there and just trying to make it so bad, like just because he posted some stuff on Twitter that people weren't happy about. And then on top of that, the fact that there's wrestling fans, and I can't believe I looked because I was looking online. The poor girl who hit him, whether we find out what happened or not, the fact that people were going on her stuff, like she was tweeting out stuff and people were responding, well, I guess you don't have to worry about that now. And I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I do like Tim's bad there. AEW not allowed to air a tribute show.
Oh, don't worry. I didn't even get to that part yet. But yeah, I'm going to give the fans my bad for this weekend. What do you got for your brainless?
My brainless is going with our ever popular chairman of the board, Vince McMahon, once again shelling out millions of dollars for stuff that, well, I didn't do it. I didn't do it, but I've got to pay this person because I didn't do it. There's only so many times you're allowed that free pass of, like, you know what, people are coming after you just because you got money.
I'm going to watch that tomorrow.
How many times does Vince get that pass?
Yep.
Not anymore for me.
No, especially because of all the other allegations that have come out, and we've already know what kind of a scumbag he is and shit. So, yeah, he doesn't get a pass for me. And honestly, I know that we've retired things from being bad and brainless. Vince McMahon has he's given himself gold standard status. He is never excluded from the bad or the brainless.
Ever. I mean, as much as I wanted to put Teddy Hart into one of these categories, because, I mean, watching that documentary, I'm like, yeah, you do not. But even so, like, I'm not sure he even reaches Vince's levels. As much as I think the woman who went missing is most likely dead,
yep.
Teddy Hart should take some responsibility for that, since he took the woman's ID and took her passport.
Yep.
She couldn't figure out anything else to do, so she had to earn a living and earn some money in hopes of one day getting back to her kids, which she hasn't. If you want me to put like a high honorable mention for shitbag.
Yeah, so, and for me, for brainless, I hate the fact that Jay Briscoe is the reason why I have given it a clean sweep. But Warner Brothers getting my brainless for this week. A man died. He was a professional wrestler. He worked for the smaller subsidiary of AEW and Ring of Honor. Did a lot of things for a lot of people in that business. It's a fucking crying shame that we have to watch that memorial show for him on Ring of Honor's YouTube page. It should have been on TBS or TNT, whenever they wanted to do, either during Dynamite or Rampage, because Warner Brothers didn't like the fact that he had those homophobic tweets years ago. But yet, we have Mike Tyson showing up on Dynamite. He, like Jay said, he went to prison for rape. You got Dana White, who just had these accusations against him because he assaulted his wife and has showed no remorse or any of that shit. And he's got this show where people are smacking each other, leading to brain injuries, to the point where Chris Nowinski is spending time talking about it because how fucking stupid it is. And you're going to go out there and you're going to promote that and give Dana White this fucking platform when you wouldn't even give a fucking 2-hour show to a guy who's not even here anymore? He's dead. He deserved that moment. He deserved to be honored the way he did. He deserved to have the same kind of a goodbye and a farewell as Brody Lee. He didn't get it. At least not on television. We have to go online to watch it because Warner Brothers wants to pull up their fucking pants and show a fucking moral side and all the wrong reasons. You know, I'll say this. I am one person. I know that, like, I am the king. I live in a glass house. I shouldn't be throwing rocks. I know I've said things in the past that I wish I didn't. Hell, I was once a part of a trending topic over a decade ago, and I am not proud of it. I'm not. And if you go back, I'm sure you can. Well, maybe not. I lost that account. Never mind. But either way, people have said things. People have done things. Do you think I was proud of myself when I said that I hope Nia Jax tears? Okay, that's a bad example. But
go check out that video on our YouTube page, by the way.
Yeah. So, but I have to give it to the Warner Brothers. I'm sorry. You can't have a moral ground for this and not for other things. There's somebody else that they have showed on TNT or TBS recently that is also, yes, and he also apologized for his comments. But anyway, that's my bet, or my brandness. And if you like what you've seen, whether you are a first-time watcher or a continuous fan, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube at the letter T, the letter H, the letter E, the letter F, the letter N, MARKS, the F and Marks. If you'd like to follow and subscribe to us, we will do the same back. That has always been our
mantra. And make sure you set up notifications for when we go live on our Facebook page so that you will be notified when we're going live, and you can join in with the conversation to talk about the sport that we all love to hate, professional wrestling. So yeah, I think that's it.
I think that is everything.
You know, there's not much more. That there's nothing more to talk about. I know we got something big happening next week, which will be a huge anniversary for something, but
Wednesday to be exact, is the exact day it happened. But here's the thing. Maybe that's not the last time that we talk about me next week on the podcast, or even the following week. Why is that, Curtis Axel? Because you never know who can make an appearance in the Royal Rumble. Because I'll tell you right now, just like I did, I turned the fucking dumbass. Just like I did 2,917 days ago on this day, January 20th of 2023, I am still alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble. I'm going to spend the next week coming up with an idea for a stupid human trick if Curtis Axel is actually in the Royal Rumble. No, I don't think that's good. No, I think, no. I've already said he's going in the Hall of Fame if he's in the Rumble next week. If he comes out during the Rumble and gets Eric Rowan again, that will be enough for a stupid human trick.
Okay.
Unless you think the Royal Rumble return is enough for me to do something stupid in a couple weeks. It's up to you, Jay.
I mean, we could all, you know what? I mean, you and I love Curtis Axel.
Love him.
I think if he came out to the ring, I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as Grandmaster Sexay, but I don't think there would be much of a reaction. For the Royal Rumble, they're going to want somebody who people are going to most likely pop for. So I don't think we're going to see Curtis Axel, unfortunately. We're not going to see Duke Droese there, unfortunately. I would love for Hacksaw Jim Duggan to come out there and stop somebody with a gun, possibly, to be part of that gimmick where he relives the fact that he stopped a robber from coming into his house.
And had a gun.
without a 2x4.
He had a gun and he didn't even have to use it. Really?
No, he did his he did the 3-point stance, tackled the dude, and tough guy. Ho!
Oh! To everyone's favorite janitor, Tim. I would do it, the half beard, but I don't want to get divorced. Nicole would never sign off on that. But anyway, for episode 296 of the F and Marks podcast,
I'm Jay.
and I am the brainless one. Make sure you mark out
With your guac out. See you, everybody. Enjoy SmackDown. We will see you next Saturday. We will figure out a dang time to let you know when we are going live. But make sure you got those notifications set up so you will know in case we don't know. Because there are certain people that when we set up a time, sometimes don't show up on time.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Also,
Anyway.
Also, if you guys want, please check on me Sunday morning and make sure I'm okay, just in case the Giants lose by 47 against Philadelphia tomorrow. I'm sure I'll be in bed by halftime anyway, because I'm sure Philadelphia will be up by 4 touchdowns.
I like Daddy Times, man.
I like vanilla Vic and shit. Later, everyone.
See ya.
Later, Cousin Jay.
See ya.
Yeah?
Yeah?